I'd like to give a big shout out to the HOODOO Gurus, who have given us permission to use part of their song, That's My Team, as our new podcast episode intro for all of their music. And whenever they are going live or performing live, head to their Facebook and their Instagram. The links will be in the description below. Be sure to give them a like and a follow as well on Facebook and Instagram.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Final Tackle podcast, and we're actually joined by current Canberra Raiders assistant coach and on-field trainer, you could say. He also played for the Raiders and the Storm. His name is Brett White. Cheers for joining me here today, mate.
Mate, thanks for having me on. It's good to be on and for a bit of a chat.
Yeah, it should be good. So, obviously, let's start with the first question I always ask. Your debut. It was for the Melbourne Storm. What was it like, the week leading up to it and the game and all that?
Yeah, pretty amazing. It's always a special week leading into that. I actually don't remember too much of it. I know I would have burned up a lot of energy through the week. Probably played the game 1,000 times over, yeah, but I do remember scoring a try, and I didn't get many of those throughout my career. So
it was a meat pie on your debut was amazing.
Yeah. So I didn't get many of those in my career. I wasn't very good at scoring tries, so I do remember that part.
Club, isn't it? From what I've been told, as in to get your first try in the NRL on your debut is a pretty exclusive sort of thing.
Yeah, it was pretty funny because I got a try on debut and I got a try in the last game I played for Melbourne.
Oh, wow.
And then I come to the Raiders and 69 games for the Raiders and I didn't get one, which is pretty embarrassing. I can't believe I just told you that. But, yeah, you do remember those. I think I remember every try, because there wasn't many of them.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But, hey, at least you scored. Speaking of obviously tangenting off real quick, a mate of mine I went to school with scored 5 tries last night, Matt Ikavalu. What are your thoughts on his efforts last night, coming in as 18th man and then getting 5 meat pies?
How good's that? Like, what a wonderful night for him to turn up there, not expecting to play. And that's, we always tell these young kids, always prepare that you're going to be,
Well, I mean, he was on the warm-up,
mate, it's one of those things that, for these young blokes, especially now that without having the lower grades playing, that they got to be ready, because rugby league's something that, it can turn within a matter of weeks. Everything can turn around and all of a sudden you become an NRL player. So for him last night, that was fantastic to see that, you're always prepared to play, and, if you're prepared, you go out and score 5 tries, and what a wonderful night. But what about the other winger,
Ryan Hall?
Ryan Hall, you got to feel for him.
Honestly, it scored meat pies for days for Leeds. Comes over to the NRL, not a single try yet, and then the one he almost scores at pretty much the last minute, it gets disallowed. Honestly though, but credit to the Roosters, especially given I was looking at the stats last night and it was level, as in 50-50 possession, even like 72% completion rate on one side and 73% the other side, even level with the amount of errors, and yet the scoreline definitely didn't represent the on paper.
Yeah, it just goes to show the Roosters, what a class act, losing Friend early, and still got the job done, and to that extent, with all those stats still the same, what a credit to them.
Yeah, exactly. And sorry, one more quick bit about the Roosters. Everyone's talking, Matt will be dropped for next week because, Brett Morris may be back. I personally think with the Roosters and how well they're going, they've got time, a week or two to, doesn't matter if they lose the next 2 games. Hopefully for you guys next week they lose. But I reckon they could put Matt on the left wing and put Ryan Hall in the lock, because in my opinion, I've been watching Ryan play and I've met him, he's built like a lock and plays very similar to a lock. I think he'd be good in lock, especially with the missing Victor Radley and Sam Verrills. He'd fill in that spot. I reckon put Matt on the wing, at least for next week, and see how that goes. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, with Hall in the middle, you're right. He is a big guy and he's got great feet. So with the game the way it's going, with fatigue in the game, that having a guy with good feet in around the middle can produce something. And
that way it gives both of them game time,
It certainly does, but let's hope Trent Robinson goes a totally different way and just rests them all and brings a whole new lot of guys in, and some of those guys that I'm sure are in his squad that haven't played yet. Maybe you could think about bringing those guys in and giving them a go next week,
especially for next week. Yep, especially for you guys. Now, tangenting back into the questions for you, you played some representative footy such as State of Origin for New South Wales. You also played for Australia and Ireland. pardon me, first of all, what was it like playing State of Origin and the intensity difference? And then what was it also like playing international rep footy?
Mate, it's Origin's everything that it's spoken about. It's wonderful honour, but it's it's just an amazing battle in through the middle that. You got the best players in the world playing the best players in the world, and it was such an honour to do that. Something every kid dreams of.
Oh, yeah.
I remember my first hit up of Origin. I actually started on my debut, and a early carry. I had Dallas Johnson, my former teammate at the time, absolutely cut me in half. Tony Carroll over the top, straight across the. Stiff arm straight across the bridge of the nose, and I remember laying there just going, wow, this is what everyone talks about at Origin. This is it, and I'm in the middle of it, and where am I going to hide for the next 79 minutes? So that was I remember thinking that at the time, but no, it was unfortunately never got to win a series or anything like that.
But you do go down in State of Origin history with that dust up with Steve Price. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things that,
it gets to you, like the intensity of the game and all that.
Yeah, it happened, and I was probably only by luck I ended up on the better side of it. It was probably a 50-50 what happens in on field when two big guys go at it, and I was probably got the luckier side of it. But it did go down in history, and it's something I get asked about quite regularly. It's
I thought I'd only just mention it, not actually like fixate on it, because like you get asked about it all the time. Sorry, continue.
No, it's mate. It's one of those things that happen, and part of history, and there was no hard feelings, and play on from there.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like I'm a firm believer in honestly, your generation more or less was the last of the old breed, in my opinion. Like James Graham is probably the very last of the Cameron Smith or them, in the sense of, if you guys are going to have a dust up, do it early in the game or at the very end, and then, squash the beef sort of thing and then get on with the game. Like Billy Harrigan would always let him, dust it up sort of thing, and then, right, you're done, continue the game,
Yeah, and in a funny way, like, and I certainly don't condone violence in any way or punching or anything, but it actually kept the game a lot cleaner.
Yeah, it would, because you've got all that stuff out in the open before it's even had a chance to manifest, But
the other thing is also there's when I was playing, there were some guys there you certainly wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of. So, you wouldn't want to tread on their hand or do anything like that because of what may happen where, I think these days there is a lot more
tension
stuff that goes on where guys know they can get away with it. But, I haven't got an answer. I'm not saying we go back to the old days, but or condone violence or anything like that. But I certainly thought it had its place in that time of the game, and it did keep it a lot cleaner.
Especially with Mick Crocker at the helm.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's exactly right. No one's ever going to play against Mick Crocker and try anything, silly or grubby.
Well, I mean, you played with and against him. Played with him at Melbourne and against him in State of Origin. So you were on both the good end and you could say the receiving end.
Much before when I played with him. He's one of those guys you enjoy playing with.
Yeah, I mean, he's a top bloke. I met him at Legends of League last year. He's a wonderful guy. Speaking of your time at Melbourne, perfect segue, by the way. Sorry, my brain is just on fire right now. Sorry. Speaking of your time at Melbourne, you played in 4 grand finals in a row. Losing one, winning one, losing one, then winning one. What was that like? First of all, the roller coaster of making it 4 years in a row in itself is an achievement. And then secondly, winning 2 from the 4, but in such a haphazard lose one, win, lose, and then win sort of thing.
Yeah, well, it's funny. In 2006,
I was at that game, by the way. Sorry, I go for the Broncos.
Oh, nice.
So I was at the game.
We probably went, looking back at it now, we went into that game and it was like, went into it with our eyes the size of dinner plates. It was like, oh wow, we've made a grand final. How cool is this? And it was
no one had opener for you guys.
It was, and we come up against a very experienced side. It was
Webby, Seven Deceiver, Carroll, Lockyer, all of them. Sorry, continue.
These guys were there to get the job done, and that's what they done. So losing that taught us a lot about playing in big games as a young side. So obviously come around 12 months later, 2007, and we were now there. We'd had the experience. We were there to get the job done. And
they say you got to lose one to win one.
You do it. It gives you a different mentality the next year. That this hunger and this you're there to, like I said,
you're there to win.
Do the job, get it done. And no doubt, 2007, Manly probably had the same thing coming into that game as they eyes the size of dinner plates and wow, the grand final. And they get beat in 2007, and no doubt 2008, which they did. They were there to win, and they were hungry, and it showed. They were unstoppable that year.
And then you come back the next year in 2009 and then win that.
Yeah, well, after the embarrassment of 2008 with the toweling, 40-0, it was we want to fix this again. So that was our mentality. 2009. Was that 2009? Yep. Yeah. So it's funny how it works, but you certainly do learn a lot from losing it. It's not nice losing, but it does give you that burning desire the following year to go one better.
Yeah, fair enough. And I was talking to Ben Cross yesterday for an episode, who was in a few of those grand finals with you. Obviously, record has shown, obviously, unfortunately, shit went pear-shaped for Melbourne regarding those grand finals. But even though I'm a Broncos fan, I love league first and the Broncos second. I'm an adamant that I will always say that even though Melbourne were over the cap at the time, they were the better team on the day. So you cannot award the grand final trophy or, the win to the opposite team, hence why there had to be an asterisk, because you guys were the better team on the day. Do you, as a player from those games and those teams, personally feel regardless that you won sort of thing? Because Ben definitely believes, you guys won on the day, which you did. It's just unfortunate that the cap sort of thing happened. But yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, without doubt. We know how hard we train. We played all the games throughout the year, the cap thing does come into it, but you got to take into account. And I don't condone what happened down there with that, but it wasn't. We weren't going out and the club wasn't going out and buying the best players available.
Yeah, exactly.
I think in my whole time down there was only 2 NRL players got brought in. Anthony Quinn was one as a winger, and the other one was Mick Crocker, and I don't think any other club wanted him, and he come down here for
offense, they probably wouldn't at that point.
Probably the other one was Brett Finch, who had been sacked, and again was probably on the unwanted list at the time. So it wasn't as if we were going out and buying superstars,
like Lockie or anyone like that.
Yeah, the cap was the issues down there. The wrongs that were done were to try and keep those players. So I know everyone's got a different opinion on it. As a player, you were just going your week by week. Yeah, we work so hard, and unfortunately, it is what it is.
Yeah, as I was saying, emotionally, they can't take the win away from you, in my opinion, because you guys were going week by week, winning and actually win the grand final. It's just obviously statistically they can, but I believe as much as you do, you guys won. You guys are the grand finalists for those years, regardless. But enough of that. Let's go into some fun questions. Did you have any pre-game routine or specific superstitions? And if not, who had the weirdest superstitions?
I did have some weird ones. I wouldn't say superstitions. I was big on routine. So certain time in regards to the countdown clock and how far out from the game I'd done certain things. I used to put talcum powder. I'd get my ankle strapped and then put talcum powder over the top of it.
Okay. Why not before it gets strapped?
No, well, the talcum powder, and it's an old thing. Mark Gaznier's dad was a strapper.
Yeah, Reg Gaznier, yep.
No, John is Reg's brother. John Gaznier was a strapper in the lower grades at the Dragons when I was there. And that was his thing, that he'd always strap the boy's ankle, then put talcum powder on it. And the idea of talcum powder is that the edge of the strapping doesn't roll up when you put your socks on.
Yep.
So it doesn't roll up and it stays firm. And so he used to do all that all the time. And he's such a wonderful, guy. He was so one of those great backroom sort of guys that are the heart and soul in behind a team. And that was sort of my thing that I just kept that going because, I loved John so much, and it was sort of like I carried on what he done, and so I know as I went down the track, and later on that when I went to other clubs, that some of the boys I'd get some strange looks, and I'd explain it. It stops the strapping tape rolling up, but they just thought I was all a bit strange doing it, but that was my little, I guess, a routine. I was big on the 3 hours before, 3 hours before
or anything, or a good night's sleep the night before.
No, just a routine. Take my dogs for a walk up to the shops at 4 hours before game time, and I had to walk in at right on time, and those sort of things. But I was big on routine, and it just kept me in order for the game, and that was my thing.
No, that's fair. I mean, I actually spoke with Motu Tony earlier, and you may be able to verify this because CS Oliola is still playing. Motu said when he was playing with CS Oliola back in the day, he's the most relaxed dude, like in the sheds before the game. But as soon as he crosses that white line, it's white line fever and hardcore, ready to go, like a totally different side of things. Can you verify that that's like exactly how he is? Laughs and jokes right up until they walk onto the pitch.
That's pretty much it. He is one of the most nicest guys, relaxed, do anything for anyone type guys.
Yep.
But you cross that line and you got an opposition jumper, he's coming for you. So he's a wonderful leader down here for us. And unfortunately, he's going to be out for the
few weeks.
I don't know, possibly the season. But he's certainly the spiritual leader down here, both on and off the field.
For sure. Now, talking about some more of your career sort of stuff, who was the toughest team for you to go up against physically and mentally during your playing time?
Oh, definitely that 06 Broncos side. You're talking like a forward pack of Petro, Webke, Tony Carroll, Thorne, Carlaw. I remember in that grand final looking up at and thinking, where do you run here?
Like
honestly,
either way, you're going to run into a wall.
You've got big, aggressive athletes that are coming after you. Where do you go?
Yeah.
So they would definitely.
Same when you're trying to tackle them. Who do I tackle?
Yeah. I remember actually my first NRL trial game before I made my debut was a trial against the Broncos.
Oh.
And I remember making a tackle on Petro and going, wow, like, how big is this man? Like, and it's someone I'd always looked up to, and it was just it was a wonderful experience. One of those things that just stuck in my mind about playing against him was just always a great honour. Yeah,
for sure. And speaking of, who was your idol in the NRL when you were growing up? And if you had a few, who were the few?
Yeah, I grew up not far out of Canberra, so I always...
It was Jindabyne or was it Cooma, as far as I was trying to research and stuff?
A little town in between Cooma and Jindabyne called Burradale.
Okay.
I probably spent most of my time in Jindabyne, but I went to school and played football for Cooma. But so it's in the Canberra sort of region.
Yeah.
So I grew up following
the and Jindy,
they're a good little
Cooma
part
pie
of the world.
Shop is
Jindabyne.
the best pie shop I've ever been to in Australia.
There's a great one at Jindabyne too.
Oh, there is?
Yes, Sundance Bakery. So
okay, I'll be sure to go to that
way. Yeah, but so I always grew up following that glory days of the Green Machine.
Oh, for sure.
But I love Paul Harrigan. Growing up, the Chief, and to be fair, probably tried to model some of my game off him. So he was always one of my favourites.
No, that's fair. I'm just double checking my list here. Idol, David, mentally, physically. Now, you're currently the assistant coach or on-field trainer for the Raiders. What was that like, making the transition from retirement and going from retirement into a more or less full-time role with the Raiders?
Yeah, it was a learning curve. It's a lot different being a player to a coach. A
Is there
lot more
sometimes where you
hours, a
just
lot
want to
more.
be like, you're at the game and you want to be like, I just want to get on there and do what, and I just want to get on there and do it, sort of thing to help
Mate,
them?
I really struggled early on, especially game days, is not being able to go out. And
Mm.
that's, I used to love game days, the whole build up, the before the game. It's probably when I was at my most comfortable, within myself. And I love that feeling. So missing that, used to miss that, a lot, but a lot different being a coach now, and you're constantly learning. It's certainly a different to being a player, but I'm so grateful to still be involved in rugby league at this level, and have been able to go straight from a player straight into a coaching role.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And speaking of the NRL and yourself, Sticky, the lads, how have you guys handled the new rulings in 6 again, 1 ref again, all that sort of jazz? But also, how did you guys handle the COVID break as well?
Yeah, the COVID one was difficult. It's it's unknown. I think it was the same for everyone in no matter what you do, whatever industry you're in, to handle all that. So we were no different to anyone else. We were constantly having meetings about what do we do and new ideas, and trying to be creative and trying to make sure players' welfare's looked after, their fitness is looked after. To the credit to the boys, they come back in great shape. They looked after each other, so it was really challenging. And again, one of those things that you take so much out of it, looking back as learning from it, and probably going into the new rules of I think we're all still trying to work it all out. It's I know early on everyone thought that in around the ruck would be the place to go, and these running from dummy half would see a lot more of it. But
Yep.
I think now teams are starting to tighten up in around that. So
Because they've caught on to the dummy half coming straight out of dummy half again now.
Yeah. So I think we're seeing a lot more teams play with a lot more width off the dummy half, moving around a lot more.
Yeah, I was going to say, talking about going out the width again. Sorry, I do have to mention Matt's efforts last night. 3, I think, or 4 of his tries came straight out of dummy half, with Tedesco coming straight out of dummy half out wide, sort of thing, and caught them on the back foot. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's a bit of width. So it's. I think we're all. It's all evolving. No one sort of. Teams are benefiting from the different rule changes, but I think the benefits will still go on for a while, and there'll still be more. It'll still evolve as we go.
No, that's honestly fair enough. Last few questions. What are your personal top 3 career highlights?
The
The grand finals, I'm guessing, would be one.
The grand finals,
The wins.
obviously the rep jumpers, the wins, the rep jumpers. Probably lesser known as playing for Ireland.
I was going to say, let's talk a bit about that. You did play for Australia, but the Ireland, was that, obviously you weren't born in Ireland, but is your parents Irish or your grandparents, and what was it like for you to pull on the Irish colours?
Yeah, so my grandfather was come out in the 50s. He was from Ireland, come out for the Snowy scheme actually up near Jindabyne. That's
Yep. I know what you're talking about.
Come out there, and he was always a very proud Irishman, and he was probably more of a father figure to me. I grew up, spending most of my time with him and adoring him, and he was my greatest supporter, and so that opportunity to play in his honour was pretty big for me, because
that would have been a lot more emotional, I think, for you than to play for Australia. Would you agree, sort of thing?
Well, yeah, the Australian one was an honour, but when you have a personal, when you have one of your biggest mentors in your life and someone who's so special to you, and you do it for them, that was that was a wonderful thing, and we had such a great time. It was probably near the back end of my career, and it was probably when I was doing it a bit tough, to the back end, that where I was going with my football career, and it really sparked my love for football again. I went over there and had a wonderful time with that group of guys. I remember we played against Ireland in Limerick in Ireland, and we got beat, something like 52-10 or something, and come off the park, and you would have thought we'd won the World Cup. The way everyone was just to have a great time and celebrate, what we were doing and the love of football and just having a good time. So, and even though we'd lost, we made sure we certainly had a good time.
Even though you'd lost, you'd won on the inside,
Well, that's it, the typical Irish spirit. Make sure everything's a good time, and we certainly done that. And I cherish that time.
Honestly, that's so wonderful to hear. Last sort of topic I've got is, do you have any advice for any kids or teenagers, youngsters in general, who are hoping to make it in the big first grade one day?
Work hard. There's no secret. That there's a lot of guys that have got talent, but at the end of the day, at some stage, they got to work it out too. That unless you work hard, you don't get to your greatest achievements. You don't get to the where your potential lies. You don't find that out until you learn to work hard. And I know it's probably sounds a bit cliche or anything, but it's certainly the recipe for success. That's as simple as that.
Well, I mean, you're spot on, because almost every single person that I've interviewed for the podcast has said hard work. Some of them maybe, trust yourself, back yourself, but they've always also said, hard work, because the old saying, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work.
No, 100%. You don't, obviously you don't fulfill your successes without it.
Like Jonathan Thurston and Cam Smith and all them are perfect examples of talent and hard work,
Yeah, when you combine them, that's what you get. You get blokes like those, and I know with Cam's, like, I spent a lot of time playing with him. That he was one of the hardest workers as a player. So that's why he's achieved what he's achieved. His talents help him, but his mentality and hard work, allow him to reach those heights.
Thank you very much for joining us, and I will talk to you again at some point.
Great, thanks for having me on.
No worries.